Hey everyone, welcome back to Beyond the Case. I'm Crystal with this special edition of Finding the Missing. This is where we give families from across the United States a chance to talk about their missing loved ones in hopes of bringing awareness to their cases. Today, we are joined by the mom of Bethany Markowski. Bethany disappeared when she was only 11 years old in March of 2001 from Tennessee. Well, this case is from Tennessee. Bethany's mom is desperately looking for any answers. Joining us right now, we have Johnny. Thank you so much for joining us today. This is really a heartbreaking case, and I'm really hoping that we're able to at least get some fresh eyes on this case for you and for your family. Can you tell me first about Bethany?
Yeah, Bethany is the sweetest little girl. Great big huge heart. And I keep saying Bethany is a little girl because in my mind she's frozen at 11 years old, and I know she's 34 years old now, but it's hard to see her past 11 years old. But yeah, just a real big heart and always a smile on her face, and just a good girl, a good kid.
I want to take you back to the day before, I should say the couple of days before Bethany disappeared, the last day that you saw her. You knew that she was heading with her father. She was going to go visit him because you guys were going through a separation at that time. Is that correct?
Yeah, we were from West Tennessee. When I was with Larry, when Bethany and I were with him, we lived in Gleason, Tennessee. Bethany and I moved to Nashville, Tennessee on January the 19th, and we moved in with my sister, her husband, and her family. And my mom was also living there and helping out with the kids.
Did your daughter seem nervous to go see her dad that weekend?
Mm-hmm. This was only the second visitation. The first visitation went really, really good, right? She had a good time. The second visitation, as it got closer, she was getting more nervous, and she was asking people in the house, her cousins and her nephew and my mom and my sister, what if daddy don't bring me back this time? What if he don't bring me back this time? So the night before, we went into the closet in the bonus room to get her stuff ready the Thursday night before. She went to school on Friday, and then she was going straight to meet him. She was, upset and crying. She was sitting on the floor. She didn't want to pack her clothes. She didn't want to go. And she just kept saying, what if you don't bring me home? And, we all kept saying the same thing. He doesn't have a choice. It's the law.
Right.
He has to bring you home. And it's the law that I have to make you go, because if I don't, then I'm in trouble, right? And you'll have to go with him anyway. But yeah, she was nervous. She was nervous.
So what day was it that she left your home? Was that on Friday?
On a Friday morning, she went to school. My sister took her to school, and then she picked her up after school, and Bethany didn't feel good, right? My sister Lori and a friend of hers, Diane, said that Bethany kind of, was like dragging her around and didn't want to go, and just really didn't talk or say anything. And when they went to Waverly, they met Larry. I believe my sister got out of the car, kind of put Bethany's stuff in there and was telling Larry that Bethany didn't feel good, something like that. And so that was Friday, I don't know, 5, 6 o'clock, something like that. And he was supposed to be back at the same meeting spot on Sunday at 6 o'clock.
After they met at Waverly, where did they go?
As far as I know, to Little Rock, Arkansas.
Little Rock, Arkansas, immediately.
From what I understand.
Okay.
And the only reason that I even knew that they were at Little Rock is my niece needed to use the computer. And back then it was AOL. So, she couldn't get on it, and come to find out Bethany was on it. So I called Larry's cell phone, and he put Bethany on the phone, and I asked her, first of all, can you get off the computer? Jordan needs it. And then she said that they were at Harold's in Little Rock, Arkansas.
And what day was that again?
That was the day, that was a Saturday. The last time I spoke to her was the day she disappeared. It was at 9:38 in the morning that the phone rang, and it showed up on the caller ID that it was coming from our home in Gleason. And I was talking to her, and she sounded upset, and I could tell that the phone was on speakerphone because I could hear him hollering back and forth. It's like kind of like he was walking, it would fade in and out. And he was like, tell your mama, I know she has a boyfriend. So Bethany was like, Mama, Daddy knows you have a boyfriend. And I'm like, what? I don't know what you're talking about. She said, I talked to him. And I said, don't worry about it. And then she said, I'll see you at 5 o'clock, right, Mama? I said, yes, you will. I said, I love you. She said, I love you. And I said, I love you too. So, and then I went to work.
Did you think through that conversation that that would be the last time you would see your daughter or speak to her?
No, I didn't think that, but I was obviously worried about her because I know how he is, when he gets upset or mad or anything like that. But no, I went to work and I told my boss when we were getting off that night. She said, "Well, I'll see you tomorrow." I said, "Not if he didn't bring my daughter home."
I want you
Yeah.
to tell our viewers the last place that Bethany was seen, according to Larry, and what time.
The last place Bethany was seen, according to Larry, was walking into the mall in Jackson, Tennessee.
And then I want you to tell our viewers the last time anybody other than Larry spoke to Bethany. Where was she?
The last time anybody ever spoke to Bethany before she disappeared would have been her sister Jenny on the phone. Yeah.
Did Bethany tell her where she was at that time?
No, she just said, Daddy's taking me to the mall, because that was what he was telling her to say. Jenny heard him telling her, tell Sissy we're going to the mall.
Okay, I want to take you back to that moment because we were hearing a lot of different stories, and I want to express to our viewers what you've heard from Larry, that is Bethany's father. What did he say happened during the time that his cell phone was off?
He said that he drove her to the mall and that she wanted to go inside, and he laid down and took a nap. Now, he changed his story about the different times, and everything. But when he reported her missing, he said that Bethany wanted to go into the mall with her little friend Hillary. And we had lived in Jackson before, and she did have a friend there named Hillary. So, my sister called me because she was at the mall, and she told me what he said. So I immediately called Hillary's family and talked to Hillary's mom, and talked to Hillary herself, little girl. And she said, yeah, they saw Larry at the mall.
Okay.
And Hillary said he looked really strange. He had jet black hair and he was wearing sunglasses. And she ran up asking him, where's Bethany? And he said, I don't know. I can't find her. So Hillary and her mom helped search for Bethany for a little while, I guess into the mall closed. And then that's when the security guard called the police. Now, back then, there was not a whole lot of security cameras at the mall, but the ones that they did have, the door that he said she went through, they never spotted her in the mall ever at all. They did him and the security guy walking around, but they never saw Bethany at the mall.
So for sure you do know that Larry was at the mall because of the security surveillance video, but there's no indication that your daughter ever stepped foot inside that mall.
No. I think about it all the time because after Bethany disappeared, and Larry and I did have a few phone calls to talk about things, because I was asking him, I wanted to know. I wanted to know every single minute of everything that happened. And, and he would say stuff like, that was a week ago. You expect me to remember a week ago? How could you not? It was the most devastating time in my life. And how could it just not be burnt into your memory? And I just wanted everything. They got a tip from a gas station called Parker's Crossroad. So when Larry and I drove an 18-wheeler together, we would stop at Parker's Crossroad and we would fuel up. Well, the tip came in after Bethany disappeared. A man was at Parker's Crossroad and he stated he saw Larry in a van, and he asked him, "Hey, what are you doing up here?" And it was around 2:30ish, and he said Larry stated that he just dropped his daughter off in Nashville with her mother.
And who was this man again? What was his name?
I didn't get a name because they ended up saying that he wasn't a credible witness. So
Did they
I
give you
think it
reason?
was some like drug abuse or mental issues or something like that.
Okay. Did law
And
enforcement ever do an inspection of his van?
they did. Well, actually, they put a tracker on it, and he found the tracker. But they did do a search of his van, and again, I can only repeat what law enforcement had told me. Excuse me. They asked him, would there be any reason? Well, of course, there's going to be DNA, Bethany's DNA in the van. We knew she was in the van, right? My sister saw her get in the van on Friday. So hair, skin cells, fat, whatever. We knew that would show up. But they asked him if there's any reason there would be any blood, any of Bethany's blood in the van. And he said, yes, she sat on a thorn. So when they did the spray, luminol spray, there was some blood spots on a blanket and a pillowcase. And also too, when they did the spray on the floor, it glowed, I guess, because he had shampooed the floor or the carpet in the van.
Wow. Okay. And what did law enforcement say about that?
I mean, he justified a reason for the blood droplets to be in there.
Did they get any indication or any tips that Larry could have been involved, or did they find out something else that maybe somebody else could have been involved?
He is the only person of interest. And that came from the TBI.
Do you remember what Bethany had taken as far as clothing that weekend to go see her dad?
I don't, but I know it was in March. So I know she had a jacket and maybe a couple of pair of jeans and stuff like that. The night she disappeared, when we ended up, after everybody met at the mall and everything, we ended up going over to the police station. They brought us her bag. And I'll never forget it as long as I live. I'm sorry. It was cold that night. It was kind of mist and rain. And he described her as having on some black shoes, some blue jeans, and a short sleeve green shirt. Last time he saw her. So they gave me the bag just so I could go through and verify what she had in there. And the first thing I pulled out was her jacket. So all I could think of was, she's out there cold and in the rain and lost and scared. Crystal, actually, my sister and my brother-in-law were supposed to have met Larry and Bethany in Waverly, and they never showed up. So they went straight to the mall. And my sister and I talked about this later. And she said her and her husband at the time, Larry, was talking, saying, they feel like as soon as they get there and they get out of their vehicles and Bethany can see them, maybe she's hiding, maybe he got mad at her for something. And that she would come out, and so I was a couple of hours behind them. And I thought the same thing, maybe she's still scared. Maybe when I get there, maybe when she hears my voice, maybe when she sees me, she'll come out and she'll know she's safe. But, none of that never happened.
Do you think there's any indication that Bethany wanted to run away?
No. No, she was so happy and excited about living in Nashville. She had signed up for a ball team. She was going to play softball, and she disappeared before she got to play, but they still gave her, I've got a trophy for her that they gave her anyway. We found a little house that we wanted to buy, and we prayed over the house and asked God to hold this house for us. And I guess Bethany had been missing a year or so, and that house was still empty. And my sister finally said, "Tell God somebody else can buy the house now." But yeah, and we talked about the little truck that she wanted. And I know one of the first things she said when she got in the car with me when I went to go pick her up and we were leaving, she looked down at her hands and said, "Mama, do you think that I'll quit biting my fingernails now that we're not going to be with Daddy?" So, yeah. I mean, she was excited to be here. She was making friends. I mean, she wasn't here very long, but she made a couple of really good friends, and she'd gained weight. It was insane, because back when we were with him, we couldn't eat unless he said we could eat. And so when she came and when we came and we lived with my sister, she would go and ask my sister constantly, "Can I have a drink of water? Can I have food? Or can I have something to eat?" And my sister's like, "Come here." She opened the pantry door and she said, "See, everything from here down that's all for the kids." So every time I saw her, she was like, chewing on something. She would come home from school and she would fix ramen noodles with an egg in it, and she would eat it, and then she would eat dinner after that. So
She was happy.
she was doing good. She was excited about her new life.
Do you think somebody else knows what happened to your daughter?
I do. There's got to be somebody out there, and we're going to find that person. I've said it for years and years and years. Law enforcement's not going to bring my daughter home. It's going to be other people. It's going to be people like you. It's going to be the public. It's going to be people that just keep digging and digging and digging and digging and digging, and they can dig deeper and go further than law enforcement can. Somebody would talk to you before they would talk to a police officer.
What would you tell that person who knows?
I would do it for them in a heartbeat. And they should do it for Bethany. Not for me, not for anybody else, but for Bethany. She deserves to be found. I pray every day that she's out there and she's got happily married and got a couple of kids and just doesn't want to be found. But that's probably not the truth. I hope it is. And that's what I'm gonna live off of until I'm told different. But I feel like if somebody knows something, it is their obligation, not to anybody else, but to Bethany. She deserves to come home. I don't care. I don't care if people think I'm crazy or if I'm rude or abrasive or whatever. It's my daughter. And the minute I stop talking about her, and the minute me and my family stop sharing and stop bringing attention to Bethany, she's going to disappear all over again.
I don't think you're crazy. I just think you're a mom.
Thank you.